Algebraic equations set up equations to solve problems. The mathematical modeling process. Let's look at this definition. When solving problems, we often start by translating the problem into a mathematical representation of the problem. So the equation represents a mathematical problem that can be solved without necessarily keeping the practical situation in mind. It is called a mathematical model of the practical situation. Let's do an example. The class is told that there are 3 consecutive numbers that add up to 351. They are asked to determine the value of these 3 numbers. So these word problems, what can we do? So Zaja thinks he needs to rewrite the problem using variables to represent the numbers and an equation to represent the relationship between them. And I'm using these 2 characters because it's important that you discuss these problems with each other and assist each other in finding these expressions and equations. So remember, we are only allowed to use one variable, not x, y, and z, but only one variable. So let's see. Zing thinks the following. The word consecutive means one after the other. So if I start with the first number, then the next number would be the first number plus 1. And the next number would be the first number plus 2. Do you see we always use the first number? So instead of writing first number, why don't we use the variable n? We can also use x, y, it doesn't really matter. So if the first number is n, the second number must be n plus 1. And the third number must be n plus 2. So there are our 3 expressions for our 3 unknown numbers. Now we need an equation. So if we add the numbers, that will be equal to 351. Voila, we've got our equation. All that remains is to solve our equation. And we'll use algebra to do that for us. See on the left side, 3n plus 3, and we subtract the 3 from both sides, and then 3n is 348, so we divide by 3 on both sides, and n is 116. Always remember to revisit the original question to make sure that you are really answering what was asked. So let's test our solution. If n is 116, then n plus 1 must be 117, and n plus 2 118. And if we add the 3 numbers, that add up to 351. Brilliant! We've solved a word problem using algebraic expressions and an algebraic equation. This is an example of the mathematical modeling process.